The GTI MK7 is a practical and fun daily driver. And in this episode, I'm gonna be talking about all the mods that I've done within the past 3 months to give it more power and a little bit more style without breaking the bank. Motorsports downpipe, spider headlights, the logo, emblems. That's pretty much the intercooler setup right there. Here are the stages that I have. Use your blade to do it. This is the D2 coilover. When I first got the MK7 GTI, it had no modifications whatsoever. I didn't have any type of wheels, the lights were still stock, I didn't have a flash tune. The only thing it had was probably tinted windows. But from the very beginning, the purpose of the MK7 was to be a daily driver. So it's not meant to be a complete show car like the MR2 with custom fabrications and all that good stuff. It's not meant to be a weekend / track car like the 86, which had all these performance parts, oversized intercooler and everything else. And it's not meant to be a semi-daily / track car like the Evo, which also had a lot of brand name parts. The only thing that the MK7 will do is to take me from point A to point B and let me do all my daily routine in a fast and efficient way. Basically, a souped up daily driver. That's the purpose of the GTI. Whatever modifications that I add to this car is taking into consideration that it has to be practical and it has to be in a way where it's not going to impede or interfere with the daily drivability that this car has. So if you're interested to see my first episode for the GTI, you could click this link right here and it's gonna just take you there, and then you can see my first impressions on the MK7. If you don't see the link, that means I haven't posted that episode yet, but eventually I will, so you guys just have to sit tight. Either way, let's go ahead and get this started and start talking about all my mods. Let's start with the easy stuff. Right now with the front license plate, and the only reason I added this is because it's a daily driver and I don't want to get pulled over. Usually with my cars, you guys will notice that I normally don't have the front plate. That's because I barely drive those cars. But for a daily driver, it's pretty much a must unless you want to get ticketed, right? So here you can see I added this really cheap but useful license plate holder right here in the front. And at first I wanted to put it right here with a tow hook, right? But you know, the previous tow hook holder that I have for the MK6 did not fit for the MK7. So instead of buying a new one because it costs more, I decided to just get this right here. This plate holder with just zip ties to hold it. So one thing that I got from eBay, got a good deal for it, is these carbon fiber frames, which I'm going to be using when I put my plate in the front, just to give it a bit of flavor. No big deal, right? I just got this for like $7 for a pair. If you look at it really closely, maybe you could see it. It's not really carbon fiber, I think, but close enough for $7, right? So that's that for the front license plate holder. So as you can see, we're on a different location. I had to move because there was a lawnmower and there's just so much noises underneath that parking garage. So now we're in a different spot, more open feeling right here. You know, you got some kind of carnival going on back there. You got Norm's over here. You got the mall right here. So anyway, let's continue on with the mods, okay? What else did I add to this car? The window visors. Window visors right here. So these are the WeatherTech. These are the WeatherTech window visors right here. And I like them because they're really functional. You know, they're something that are easy to install. With this one, you don't even need to use a sticker or anything like that, right? You just kind of find a way to shimmy it. You just find a way to slip it in and you got yourself instant visors. So I like them, and they're very functional because you don't have to roll your window all the way up. You could drive with your windows down, and so it's great. It's a great addition or accessory for a daily driver. These logos, these carbon fiber logos right here, or badges, and they're I had to move because the other places I went to were just too noisy. And so here, hopefully everything will be good. You just hear the birds chirping, but that's all you get, right? And you get the open road, as you could see right there. So yeah, let's talk about the modifications for this daily driver. Just keep in mind that whatever I added to the Mark 7 is really just something to enhance the daily drivability and not take away the practical aspects of the car. And of course, I didn't want to spend much because it's a daily, so the parts are not completely junk, but they're not like brand name either. You know, they're not going to be like top level brand names like I do with all my other rides, because this is something that is just for daily use. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the mods that I've added to this car. Okay, let's talk about the front bumper right here. As you could see, I still have the holes in the middle, and I really didn't do anything about that. That's because I didn't want to spend another 500 bucks just to cover up the holes, fix the cracks, just to make it look perfect. And then one day just end up cracking it again because it is a daily driver, right? So I just left the bumper alone. But what I did do is add that lip right there, the Maxton lip, as you can see right here. I think it's a nice addition. I just didn't realize that it was gonna lower the car even more. And so it already has just some tiny scratches on one side. So I just have to be careful every time I, you know, snake it from like a dip, you know. Oh, fucking hey. Just so that I don't crack the front splitter bumper right there, the Maxton front splitter bumper, which is a good addition to the car, by the way. Let's talk about the wheels. The wheels is something that I got for a good deal. They are ASA wheels. Not really top level like I normally do, right, with my TE37s or even my Graham lights. But they're gonna have to do for the daily driver right here. I got a sweet deal with the wheels and the tire combo because it came off a previous GTI from someone else. And the good thing about these wheels is that it already has the tire sensors, so I don't have to buy those anymore or remove the tires and put the sensors on them. So that's the good thing about these wheels. You know, it's not exactly the width that I wanted, right? Because it's still just like the stock wheels. I wish it was a little wider, but if you're getting a sweet combo deal, you can't really complain, right? And so that's why I have these ASA wheels. And by the way, it also came with the pilots, the tires. They're not exactly my first choice, but again, they're still pretty meaty, so why replace them, right? And for a daily driver, all-weather tires, it's good enough for me. Okay, so let's talk about the height of the car. It's not super low like my other cars, but it's just low enough where I can enjoy the car and not worry about too many bumps. right? My MK6 was much lower than this car, and so I learned from that one. And the good thing about having coilovers is that I can adjust them. I can bring them up higher if I want to or not. There's no more gap, right? When it was stock, I still had that 2-finger gap when it was stock height. So by replacing, I believe they're DC coilovers, you know, the purple ones, because purple is my color, right? I just like them. So, and they were also on sale when I got these coilovers, and that's another reason why I went for it. And they're decent brand for something with a daily setup like this MK7. Okay, let's talk about the badges now. The carbon fiber badges or logos right here, which I think is pretty cool. And the good thing about these are they're not that expensive. I got them from Alibaba, I believe, for maybe 17 bucks. So that's pretty cool. It surprised me how nice they look for the price, right? Boom. And these were also very easy to install, especially if you remove the grill. All you have to do is pop off the badge and then replace it with this one. The back one was a little trickier though. These rear badges are a little trickier to install because they don't stay in place. So first it was difficult to remove. You know, I had to really use some tools to remove the badges, and then when I put this new one, it wasn't sticking the way it should. So I actually had to put a little bit of glue on the sides just to make sure that they stay in place, because I don't want anyone just, you know, walking up to my car and saying, oh, those are cool carbon fiber badges, let me just take those. And so I kind of want to make sure that they stay in place and nobody takes them, right? Even though they weren't that expensive, but I like the way they look, so I want to keep them. Okay, another carbon fiber feature is this spoiler right here, this rear spoiler, which I think is pretty cool, if you could see. So, and the thing about this spoiler is it's fairly cheap and it's fairly easy to install, right? Whether or not they're real carbon fiber, it doesn't really matter because it has that flavor. But when you look at it, it just looks nicer when you look at it. Cool. There's an episode I did where I replaced the LED bulbs on the stock headlights. But because I removed the bumper, I decided, why not just replace the whole headlight, right? And just upgrade it so it looks better. So I decided to get the spider headlights right here. Boom. They were not that expensive, right? They're like 400 bucks. There's a difference between the MK7 and the MK7.5. And if you're using halogen or xenon lights, there's a big difference. So I had to do research before I even got these headlights. You know, like I said, there's a few things I had to do to make sure that I got rid of the halogen lights. So I have LED low beams and LED high beams on this, but I had to sort of retrofit that myself. But it's not that hard. You guys could go watch my videos once I have the link up. That means I've already posted, you know, the episode on replacing the bulbs for these spider headlights, which is a cool feature, you know, if you have an MK7. Another big thing I've added for this car is, if you could tell, is the intercooler right there. Boom, front view. You know, normally with all my other cars, especially if it's for more than a daily driver, I like to show the intercooler because it really highlights, you know, that the car has something, right? Especially if you look at my 86, you could see the oversized intercooler. I removed the grill. And the reason why I kept this grill is to keep it subtle, because this is a daily driver. So, I mean, you could still see it, but I just don't want to show it so much, right? So this intercooler was inexpensive, but the feature that I really liked about it is the bi-cooler setup, because I have the bi-cooler hoses. So I can use the stock intercooler and the front mount intercooler to I mean, just in case I do more than stage 2 for this car, right? It's available to me when I want to. This one is an easy mod. It's just tinting the fog lights yellow right there. As you can see, it's tinted yellow, right? And it's easy to tint your fog lights when you remove the bumper. And because if you just tint from here, then you're gonna have 3 different slots to do. Boom, 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 right? Give it a little bit of flavor. I have that on my MK6 too. I had my fog lights tinted yellow. So, hey, why not tint the MK7 fog lights yellow as well, right? It's a cool feature. Okay, so another thing that I added, which is really inexpensive, is this diffuser right here, which is just a quick addition. Really not a big deal, right? It's like 40 bucks. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted something easy. I didn't really want to remove all the plastic. I just wanted to add something and just drill something really quick, just to give it a little bit of flavor. Although I must admit it's kind of cheap doing this. We'll see how long it lasts, you know. We'll see if I'm gonna replace the whole plastic piece, but for now it's gonna have to do because I just purchased it, right? And now I know. We'll see how long it lasts. Okay, so there's just a few things that I've added inside the car. As you could tell, it's not that different from a stock interior, but there's just a few things that I've added, like the backup camera right here, the front camera, and also the rear camera. And this is more of a safety feature, right? Because if you get in an accident, you can record everything. So it's good to have these dash cams, right? Another thing I added was the right here. Boom. Paddle shifters, right? Paddle shifters is something that I added. It's not that expensive. It's like a $10 addition, but it adds quite a bit in terms of functionality, because now I have longer paddle shifters and it's be easier for me to shift. So that's a good feature. If you could tell, one of the biggest things that I've added here is the cob access port, right? And this cob access port allows me to have my flash tunes, right? I have a DSG flash tune in here, and I also have an ECU flash tune, stage 2. And I'm gonna be talking about those as well with each episode. You guys are interested. You know, the DSG is for the high torque transmission, stuff like that. And then the ECU is obviously for boosting more, having more power, and really taking advantage of the stage 2. Oh, what I didn't mention is that this one also has a downpipe, and I can't really show you because it's underneath the car, right? I have the downpipe and the intercooler, both of which allows me to go to stage 2. I think that's pretty much it for the interior. It's really more about functionality and making sure that I get more power from my access port. And yeah, there's really not much in here because it's a daily driver. Okay, so a few more mods that I've added to this car is really just simple things like spark plugs. I put Brisk ER12s and gapped them myself, installed them, and I also have the ECS coil, performance coils, right here. So that's what I've added right here. I've added these ECS performance coils, boom, right? Along with Brisk ER12s because I needed to run colder spark plugs for my stage 2 setup. This is the high flow filter. I forgot to mention that I also replaced the air filter with a high flow one from ECS, as well as the bigger inlet pipe and filter hose. Whenever I get a car, usually the first thing that I replace is the muffler. And for some reason, because this is a daily driver, it's one of the last because I was still contemplating on whether or not I'm going to replace it or just keep it stock. And I didn't want to spend 1,200 bucks, you know, like with my 86 or even the HKS I have with the Evo or my dual canister exhaust with the MR2. So I just didn't want to spend like over $1,000 or so on exhaust. Yeah, one of the main reasons as to why I'm replacing the muffler is because aside from the tips being too small is the fact that the pipes themselves are not that big, right? So I just want to make sure that I don't have any restrictions in terms of back pressure. And so I said, why not replace the muffler, and this way I can go ahead and film it and then show you guys what I think of this type of muffler that I'm installing. Let's go ahead and take a look at what that muffler looks like for the GTI. Okay, I literally just got this exhaust a few days ago, and as soon as I got it, I already installed it the same day. And I would consider this the final piece of the puzzle because it's still the month of March as of today. This install falls under the 3 months of modding. It definitely gives a better impression and it completes the look in terms of visually speaking, right? And it has a lot of features. It has a 3-piece design, it has nice welds, noticeably louder but not too obnoxious. So I would say for less than 500 bucks, it's definitely a budget muffler or exhaust compared to all the other types of exhaust that I'm used to, like the MXP for the 86 or the HKS for the Evo or even the AWE for my MK6. Once I finish doing my review of this full catback system, which is called the Top Speed Pro 1, I'm gonna have a link up here that's gonna appear, and that's when you know that I finally posted my full review on this catback system. Over 300 wheel horsepower, so I'd say this car probably has about 350 total horsepower. That's not bad for a daily driver. More than capable of dealing with all these stupid drivers who try to cut you off and, you know, do all these weird things. Right here. So definitely worth it. That's what makes this car even more fun and more capable, is having that much power when you need it on a daily basis, right? So overall, that's pretty much everything that I've done within the past 3 months. I got the MK7 right before Christmas last year, 2023. And since then, I started doing all these mods, but not really anything crazy, you know? I just wanted to make sure that I make the MK7 more fun, right? But it's still practical. And within those 3 months, I was able to add all these mods, which is pretty much going to be the bulk of what I'm going to be doing for this project. And that's all I need. I might change the flash tune later on. Maybe I might replace a certain part. But as far as types of mods, that's pretty much it for the Mark 7 GTI. So hopefully you guys got something out of it. Till next time, drive safe and keep on rolling.